being 8:03 a.m. on February 1st, 2002. I'm going to open the Economic Development Committee meeting. First on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our January 4th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review those? And if so, any comments?
Just that my name is spelled wrong, but I already let Christy know.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
Nothing else? Do I hear a motion?
A motion to approve the minutes from the, what's the meeting date? Was the, I forget the date now, I apologize. It was
January 4th.
January 4th, thank you. Just want to make sure I had the right date.
Holly Kenny second.
So Mark has made the motion. Holly has second. I'm going to have to do a roll call. So Alexander, I say yes. Kenny?
Yes.
Theo?
Yes.
Bernardo?
Bernardo, yes.
Rayleigh is not here, I believe. Is Robbins here? Nope. Shafford? I don't think he's joined us. Linda? Townsend?
Yes.
Perot?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeph?
Yes.
All right. Thank you all very much. Next on the agenda is the grant application. We have a very busy agenda today, obviously. So we're going to go through a number of grants. I believe we have 10 applications, and then we will vote on those afterwards. I do, as some of you may know, I do have relationships with, I think, 3 of the applicants. So I think it's best for me to recuse myself from probably both the discussion and as well as obviously the voting. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the reins over to the Vice Chair, Linda Townsend, and let her begin this process.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, what a turnout on applications. Thanks, Zach, for getting the word out. We're really seeing some great applications for some exciting projects in town. So the process is that I will go through the list of applicants and then call them forward to give a short presentation about their project. And we'll go through all of the applications and then have a discussion and vote at the end. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. So with that, I would like to call Remembered Productions.
Hey everyone. So my name's Daniel Krikorian. I'm from Be Remembered Productions. We're right at 276 Turnpike Road in Westborough. We just came in here in December, and what we do is we're actually a full wedding service company. So we do everything from event planning, DJ, photo, video, even rental we'll be moving into this year. So we just actually upgraded our space from 800 square feet to 3,000 square feet. We are currently working to bring on 10 new photographers, 5 new videographers, event planners, the whole 9 yards. This grant is actually being used to buy equipment to staff all of our upcoming new employees and to build a training center to actually create certifications for photographers and videographers within the wedding industry. The wedding industry and what we're doing for it is creating a sense of security. Right now, it is very contractor based. So a lot of our brides and a lot of our couples have a problem because they don't know what price to pay. They don't know where to go to find actual information on what to do and where to find these individuals, these contractors. And then they are afraid they may not show up. They may show up, someone may get sick, and then who's going to come to your wedding? And so what we're doing is we're actually creating a career for a lot of these photographers, these videographers, these contractors, and creating security on the back end for them. So it's really a win-win in everyone's situation. We're creating a structured price for the industry. We're creating security for contractors on one side, a full career. And we're actually even beginning an internship program with lower income neighborhoods and different types of schools where they can come in and learn how to become a photographer, a videographer, a DJ, an event coordinator. And then we're not just sending them out into the world to fend for themselves. We're taking all of these hundreds of jobs. This year alone, we'll have 1,100 weddings and 2,000 services that we'll be providing. And we're allowing them to get their feet wet, to actually come with us to those and learn hands-on, and then take those jobs on their own to start their career. So mostly, as I said, the grant will be used from everything from tables to chairs to computers. We actually just built out our entire classroom where we'll be bringing in those training classes for this year and trying to continue that education along with build our company and continue to grow throughout the state.
Thank you, Daniel. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride.
Does anybody have any questions for Daniel? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right. So next we are going to hear from Ferris Flowers at 15 South Street. All right.
Ferris, I think you might be on mute if you're speaking.
I'm sorry. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, and thank you for accepting my application. We are here. We have a flower shop in the heart of Westborough. I have been in business for 32 years, and I've had the privilege to service Westborough for 29. We requested money for the grant to purchase a new flower cooler. We needed to house more flowers and keep them in a controlled temperature, making additional arrangements for the consumer's purchase. We needed the cooler to purchase more flowers, to attract more customers, and give us the ability to bring more revenue to my business. At the present time, I am limited in carrying exotic and unique flowers to meet the customer demand and to maximize the longevity of the flowers.
Okay, thank you so much, Ferris. Does anybody have any questions? All right, well, you do beautiful work.
I thank you so much.
Agreed.
And thank you.
All right, let's see. So next we have Kidstrong, 205 Turnpike Road, and look forward to hearing from them.
Morning. My name is Joe Attia. I am one of the owners of Kidstrong. It is a new up-and-coming nationwide franchise, which is really growing like crazy, and we are excited to bring the second Massachusetts location to Westborough as our second location that we're opening here in this region. Kidstrong is a membership-based concept where we have 45-minute classes as our basic structure, where families have their kids join up, and they bring their kids in for these 45-minute classes. The ages of the kids are walking to age 11. And we work with the kids on whole child development. So it's not just physical development, but it's character development and brain development. We have a scientifically designed program that is developed by a team of experts at our Dallas headquarters to design our programming, where we have our professional coaches implement the programming in our classes. And the other benefit of Kidstrong is that we don't only focus on the child, but we also focus on the parents. So we're telling the parents exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it, and it's valuable for them. We have applied for this grant, and we're really thankful for it. And we will be using this to assist with our build out. We are ordering, we have a lot of equipment that we use in our classes for the kids in our structure. And that'll be the main use of this grant for us, is applying it to our equipment in addition to our build out.
Thanks so much, Joe. Does anybody have any questions about Kidstrong?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Joe. There's a lot of excitement in the community about this project. So we're excited to see it open.
That is awesome to hear. We are excited to bring this to Westborough.
All right, next we have Lindsay Taylor, Spatique.
Morning, everyone. Hey, good morning. So I'm Allison Lindsay. This is Meredith Taylor, Lindsay Taylor Spatique. We have a awesome business in town that we started in October of 2015. And we are a day spa, not only servicing the Westborough community, but we have many clients coming into Westborough and spending their money with us from the surrounding towns as well. We have recently expanded our business from a 1,300 square foot facility at number 71 East Main Street and moved a few doors down to number 45 East Main Street and expanding to 3,600 square feet. Not only expanding our actual facility, but also expanding our services to bring in hair services, nail services, so we can now do things like host bridal parties or girls' night out, or, you know, we have been able to open up our opportunities to bring new clients into Westborough. Not only that, but we have also expanded our staff from 11 employees to 22 employees, giving them the opportunity to be able to excel and succeed in their craft, which makes us very, very happy. So we used Tom Kelly. Thank you, Tom Kelly, for our contractor, local contractor. And so, you know, with the cost of the build out, the extra equipment that we needed to purchase, we would use this grant to be able to cover those costs and to be able to continue to service Westborough and the surrounding towns.
Great. The new space is beautiful.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed a couple of pedicures there.
Awesome.
I love that. So nice.
Thank you, Linda, for supporting us.
Does anybody have any questions for Lindsay Taylor? All right. Well, thank you, ladies. And next on the agenda, we have Lux Realty Group.
Good morning. Can you hear me? All right, great.
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Tracy Barber. I'm the owner of the Lux Group. I've been a real estate broker for 15 years. 4 years ago, I left a franchise model that we were under and started an independent firm because I wanted to bring more of everything back to the local level. And about four or 5 months ago, we decided to open our second location in Westborough, and we are starting to renovations on 22 and 28 West Main Street, the two storefronts right on West Main Street, to bring our real estate firm to that location, as well as in-house mortgages as well. We would use the money from the grant to renovate the space. We're doing a full renovation, flooring, 6 offices, conference room, kitchenette area, and it'll really shine in that location on those 2 vacant storefronts. So we're excited to, kind of revitalize that storefront area and make it a shining beacon on West Main Street. The only other thing I wanted to note was, our model for real estate agents is, to provide them everything they would expect from a major franchise without all the costs, because all decisions and all technology and everything is here at a local level.
That's great. Thank you so much, Tracy. Does anybody have any questions for Tracy?
The only question I had is, in terms of 22 and 28, how are they configured? Are they adjacent to each other, or how does that work?
They're split in the middle by entrances that go up to the second floor units, but they're connected behind that about halfway through the space with a hallway that's about 6 feet wide to connect the two sides. So on the left side will be the Lux Group, and the right side we have a mortgage partner, Mortgage Unity, who will cohabitate the space with us, providing separation, but also providing connection so that there can be closings in a common closing rooms, and just have a bubbly and exciting office space for both companies.
So will there be 2 storefronts?
Yes, there's 2 storefronts there, 22 and 28.
I mean, will there be 2 signages?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but both matching, everything's going to, all this interior space is going to be under the same concept with, wood, either wood vinyl or wood flooring, high style, just like my office in Shrewsbury, it looks incredible when you walk into it. So it's going to really look a lot better than it does right now.
Great, thanks.
Looks like we have another question.
Linda, I have a question. This is Holly. Are we going to, at the very end, I'm sure everyone else as well, I have specific questions about like the number of Westborough employees or the number of employees, that kind of a thing. Are we going to just do that as we go at the end, or?
I think ideally we would ask those questions now and then have the discussion at the end.
Okay.
Do you want me to answer that question now?
Yeah, thank you.
We already have 8 Westborough MLS agents that are on our staff there, and by the time we're done with renovations, we hope to be by mid-year 20 to 30 real estate agents.
Wow. Okay.
We have a lot of agents that are attracted to our model because they net more in their pockets, they keep more for their family without sacrificing all the tools and training and support that they expect or need in their business.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Tracy.
All right, any other questions? Okay, with that, we will move to Namizo Learning Labs, 25 West Main.
Hi, everyone. Jonathan Starr. So I grew up in the area. I grew up in Worcester, and but worked in finance. And in 2009, did an unlikely move of moving to a breakaway part of Somalia, where I opened a school that everyone thought was going to fail. My not being Somali, Muslim, or any of the other aspects that are typical in the country. When our first students graduated in 2013, they got the first scholarships to American universities in 3 decades, including a nomadic kid going to MIT. The story was well covered. We had a 60 Minutes piece by Anderson Cooper and New York Times, Nick Kristof, and others. A decade later or so, we had students get to 7 of the 8 Ivy League universities, and have expanded to a number of different schools that we've started in that country. I started working my way back, moved back and relocated to Westborough. I live at West Street in 2000, whatever it would be now, 16, and have left that work, and now a year ago started the process and recently actually opened up a concept for America that we're hoping is going to take off and expand here. So the first one is at 25 West Main, which is where Sotheby's was. It's big open glass space there. And we're opening what's an after-school learning center, but very different from what's out there right now. A couple, just to summarize quick, because there's limited time, a couple main different concepts are, first of all, it's taught very different than you would see in a tutoring class or what you would see in school. It's very much game-based as well as investigation-based, so kids can enjoy it. So instead of having a short time or kids who have kind of been struggling, if they're struggling in school, the answer after school is probably not to give them the exact same thing they got in school and more worksheets. So instead they would learn, the whole curriculum really is based on games. So our sessions are an hour and a half, and kids generally, there's no reason to think they'll get bored because they're playing. They think they're playing, but they're learning math, fundamental concepts. which also brings to the second concept, which makes it really different, which is that we're really trying to focus on those skills that are critical for life, but schools haven't necessarily adapted to feature, let's say. So really deeper thinking, things that computers can't just do. So you're not going to have your job taken away from you in the future by a machine who does it better. So using judgment, strategy, tactics, real analytics, interpersonal skills, we're really trying to develop those all also, and emotional intelligence. I'm hoping that this is going to franchise. This isn't going to be the only one we end up having, but this is the first. We're also looking to manage some schools, full schools, but that would not be here. That's elsewhere. We're actually working on one that we'd be managing in Minnesota, not at 25 West Main though. So let me just make sure, because of the questions that came up. So as I said, I'm Westborough resident. Our first two employees are also Westborough residents. And our expectation would be, if it goes the way we hope, that we'll also be getting a bunch of part-time help, which would all be from Westborough. It's first through 12th grade, and the use of this, we ended up taking on more space. It used to all be one space. We took about 2/3. It's bigger than I would think we would have in the future, but we're hoping, but that's the landlord was looking for, to cut it in that way of 2/3, 1/3. So that's what we ended up doing. So we have a parent room in the back that we have, so you could drop your kid and go and sit on a nice couch and use internet or whatever you want. Kind of like when you get your oil changed, except a little bit nicer room. So we're using this towards rent because it really was a little bit more than we planned to take on. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jonathan. Wow, what a story. That sounds terrific. So does anybody have any questions for Jonathan? Okay, so next we will hear from Nurse Farm.
Hey there, Zachary. Can you let me share my screen, please?
Excuse me 1 second. Can everybody else make sure they're muted, because we're getting some feedback from somebody who's not muted? Thanks. Sorry, Tim.
While I'm, I prepared a few photos just to show what we're proposing over at Nurse Farm. Okay, here we go. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Nurse, and my father, David Nurse, asked me to present on behalf of Nurse Farm. I'll just run through a few photos here. Brief history, we've been around since 1722. We have 3 generations still working on the farm, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Yeah, and there's 15 employees. Oh. The farm entails 3 businesses. It is owned by my father. It's the entity that is applying for the grant. It also includes my uncle, who owns, he operates under Nurse Farm DBA, and my wife, who operates Veg Out, a food truck. And so it's one entity that provides opportunity for 3 different family members. My uncle runs the farm store, which is kind of the centerpiece of the farm. And it offers direct-to-customer, direct-to-consumer sales of fruits, vegetables, prepared foods. Many of you have probably been there at one point. A new entity is Veg Out at Nurse Farm, run by my wife, Catherine. And that offers a plant-forward menu inspired by the seasonal calendar, vegetarian offerings, soup, salads, smoothies, and sandwiches. We also offer nutrition education at the farm as a way to kind of include the community in education about agriculture, as well as food and healthy eating. Overall, the farm, we've been around for 300 years. We work well. It's a viable entity, but we're at the vagaries of a few things that have inhibited our growth. One of them is weather. You all recall July, it rained too much. And the photo on the left is from our Instagram post, where we were closed a number of days due to rain and thunder showers. There is some covered space behind the farm store that allows for our CSA, but it's really insufficient for exhibiting products, for covered dining space, and for other activities. We're proposing with an EDC grant to buy a commercial grade tent, at least 20 by 30 with sides, to allow us to have covered dining, farm to table dinners, to have exhibitors, vendors, other types of activities. This is a drone photo of the farm, and so the tent area would be over here next to Veg Out and behind the farm store. Our second challenge, which we're proposing support for, is parking. You can see on this photo on the left that there is a gravel space in front, and then there's a grassy one to the left. We've tried to direct some traffic into that area, but it's uneven, it's bumpy, and cars are kind of uncomfortable parking there. Again, looking at the same drone footage, you see we've got 6 spots in front. People are parked kind of haphazardly. Some cars are in this grassy spot, but then other people prefer to park on Jasper. And so we've got a lot of wasted space, and people are walking a far distance to get to the farm store and to the dining area. So what we're proposing is to grade that grassy area, gravel it, and add parking blocks. The parking blocks will kind of provide some organization, show people exactly how far in they should park. And so again, that parking area will go here, and it will expand. You see we've got 6 spots right here. That'll expand it by another 10. So it's going to more than double the parking, which we think will make it a more convenient place for people to pull in, get their food, go to Veg Out, and then potentially move on. We've got a budget here, overall costs are around $6,500, probably more when you put everything into it, but here's some of the direct costs. And I also do want to note that it is our 300th anniversary, and we did apply to the Westborough Cultural Council for a grant to support a big event similar to Heritage Day, if you may recall, a few years ago, which we hosted in conjunction with the town's 300th. And so that's planned to be a large open event with music and family activities, a variety of things to do, oxen demonstrations, who knows. Included in that grant was was a partial funding for a tent for that day. But after we put in that application, we realized that having a permanent tent, one that we can put up every season, would provide much greater value to the farm, both this season and in the future. And if we did receive this funding from the EDC, we would redirect part of the Cultural Council's funding towards other activities on that day. And then just to note the employee question, we employ on average 15 employees every season. Probably 75% of them are from Westborough. And with that, any questions?
That's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that presentation. So if there are no questions, we will move on to Revive Med Spa.
We've got one maybe on the iPhone. Sorry, Linda.
Oh, yeah, I think she's had that has been up for a little bit.
Okay. All right, I will then escape and stop sharing.
Thank you, everyone. So much. Thank you. All right, Revive Med Spa.
And I think you might be on mute. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm sorry. Good morning. How are you? My name is Ann. Can everyone see me?
Yes.
Hello? Am I coming in, hon?
Yep.
Yep, we can see you and hear you.
Good morning. My name is Ann Lemires, and I am the founder of Revive Med Spa in Westborough. I originally started a business in 1993, hair replacement in Stoughton. And the last 2 years I expanded, and we opened in Westborough a year ago in November. And we are treating different skin treatments. We're doing a lot with acne, teenagers, and so forth. Also a lot with health problems with weight loss, skin tightening, and so forth. And we've been fortunate. We love the town. It's been great. It's been great getting to know the community. But we are looking to expand, hopefully hire more full-time. We only have 3 employees at the moment, part-time. We are hoping to go with the full management staff. Business is getting a little bit better, but unfortunately COVID did impact us quite a bit. And we're hoping to improve with acne treatments for these young children, and also a lot with weight loss for skin tightening and so forth. And we're hoping to grow the business. Thank you again.
All right, thank you so much, Ann. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I
All
do.
right.
Quickly.
Oh, great.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So you've been open for a year in this location, Ann?
Yeah, yes, we're just really starting to see some business come in. Unfortunately, with COVID, a lot of people just don't want that close contact and so forth. But we've managed to keep 3 employees part-time. It's been difficult.
Yeah.
But we are hoping to obviously put money into the marketing, and also a sign that we have not managed to put out in the building. We still need to market that. And just a lot of different marketing, basically money to expand and hopefully to continue on with the business. I'm very fortunate. My other business that's not the same corporation, but I do hair replacement in Stoughton. So we're very fortunate that's pretty much provided help with the new location.
Great.
But completely two different business. One is hair loss. The other one, we're here to treat skin types and so forth and skin issues.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, and next we will hear from SoHope.
My name is Kim Tynan, and I am the creator and maker of Simply Soap. I'm a Westborough resident, and I have had an online shopping platform here in Westborough for almost 10 years. And I am making the huge launch to a brick and mortar. My lease actually starts today in my new space. Thank you. I'm really excited about my new space. I'm going to be opening up my shop at 69 Milk Street, the Mill building in town. It's one of my favorite buildings in town. And I'm going to be occupying Suite 99, which was formerly a dentist's office right in the front of the building. So the building requires some pretty significant interior renovations, and that's what I'm looking to use the grant monies, if I'm selected, is to do the major renovations and build out. We're looking to add lighting. We've had to do a lot of wall work. Add appliances, sink, plumbing. There wasn't any plumbing in the space, interior doors, flooring. I'm looking to add some merchandising spaces, specifically custom shelving. I am looking to expand beyond the soap body product candle line I've been running to add bath bombs, which has been a frequent request and a favorite for many customers. So I'd like to purchase that machine. I also am building a large island. The space will be used as a studio as well as a retail apothecary location. I create small batch products. I use local quality ingredients, create predominantly natural soaps, body products, and soy candles at this time. And like I said, we'd like to expand into bath bombs. I am currently the only employee, and I'm looking forward to expanding my business. And I'm specifically interested in adding teen employees. I wish to provide an opportunity to mentor teens in this really exciting occupation of making soap. And that's pretty much it. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Congratulations. Today's your first day of your lease. That's
Thank
exciting.
You. It is.
What size is your space? How many square feet?
So I think it's about 1,500 square feet.
That's great. That is a great building.
It really is. It's beautiful. Actually, you know what? I think it's a lot smaller than that. I'm not sure exactly. I'm sorry. It's that small space in the front where the bay windows are, and it has a separate entrance into the building. it really is an amazing building. If you haven't had the opportunity to go in there, I highly recommend checking out the building. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you. All right, we're going to wrap up with ZD's Trattoria.
Stefano, are you there? Stefano, I think you might have to unmute yourself if up there we
Hello?
go.
Hello?
There he is.
I'm okay?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, Stefano.
Yeah, hi. Hi, everybody. And thank you so much for the opportunity to apply for those grant funds, which will help very much our business. My name is Mustafa Gajawi, and I've been working at Zeddy's since 1991. And we've been facing a lot of challenges in the area. And we think after the pandemic, we're going to face more challenges and things they're going to be better. And that's why we're trying to adjust ourselves and update our business to those challenges, to face those challenges. And we're trying to change the oven, how we call the stove. We want to change it to a better one, a more powerful one. The one we have is a little bit slow. And the new one we're trying to purchase, it's like 10 burners and 33,000 BTUs, which is going to help us make the food better and control the heat of the stove, which makes the food better and faster. And you're going to help us to expand our customers. And we're trying to adapt ourselves because we think that the area after the pandemic, there are going to be more restaurants coming into the area and there's going to be more competition. And that's why we're trying to change some equipment. And we think that this burner will help the business and will make us more, adjust us to the area. And we really appreciate the effort for the town of Westborough to support its local businesses. And then thank you.
Any questions?
Nope.
All right. Well, that concludes our presentations. So, Zach, I think I will turn it over to you, if that's okay, to moderate the discussion and vote.
That is totally fine. So to the EDC, what I had sent to you this morning is a draft motion for each grant award. It's important to read as closely from that text as possible because the language of what you approve informs the grant agreement that the town will ultimately write with each of the applicants. The date is incorrect. I mislabeled it as 2022 instead of 2023 for the expiration of the grant application or of the grant contract. But yeah, if you could read from that when any decisions are made, that would be great. And if we could do all votes via roll call because we are remote, that would also be great. So Linda, if you could just read down the roster of EDC members for any votes that are taken. I think, so we've heard from all 10 of our applicants today. We've received a total of nearly $55,000 in requested funds. I think, as everyone knows, the program is only funded for $40,000 for the entire year, and we still have one remaining quarter of applications to review in May. I will leave it to folks to discuss how we want to make these awards. I know that there was criteria discussed at our last meeting. Staff are meeting in a couple of weeks to discuss draft criteria and a draft rubric for how the EDC might make decisions when the process becomes this competitive. But you know, ultimately, I think this decision is at the EDC's discretion, whether or not you want to award a small amount of money to each of the applicants, varying sums of money to each of the applicants. I think for the applicants that are still on the line, important questions that the board might ask them is, whether or not the project would happen if they don't receive their full funding request. That I think is, a pretty important question to ask. If anyone wants to ask that to the board, to the applicants, but otherwise, I think I'll leave it to the board for some discussion around, how we want to make this really tough decision.
Okay, Zach, I just had one question. Do we have to leave the application process open for another quarter? So do we have to leave funds aside to allow money to be here in the last quarter? Or can we decide we're going to give everything out now and close this thing down for the calendar year?
Zach,
technically, because this is the EDC's program, you could disperse the funds however you want. I would discourage you from spending the rest of the money today, because the way that the program is marketed on our website and on the program overview and application, it does state that there will be 4 review periods, and that May is an upcoming one. So I would think it would be unfair to any future applicants who were planning to apply in May and couldn't get their application together this cycle for the funds to dry up before then.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just thinking logistically, because I know we had discussed in the last meeting, putting some, more not tighter parameters, but, more of a scope in what we're hoping to accomplish with this, because right now it's very broad, and it's great to see companies that are 300 years old and companies that signed a lease this afternoon, both in this pile. It's, nice to see we have that kind of diversity coming at us here today. And it's, you never want to discourage anyone that's new, and you want to help someone that's been here forever. So I guess it's a tough place to stand for us. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
well, I had the same question that Mark had, Zach, because we have so many good applicants right now, and there's no guarantee that we'll have any applicants during the next cycle. I can see both sides, but it's going to be tough to make that decision. Kind of wish we had.
I think as a board, we decided at the last meeting that what we wanted to do was award 10,000 per cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. We don't know what's coming. We never do. But I will say, based on what we've seen this year, it just goes up and up and up rather than down. So we can, as Zach said, always decide to do things differently. But we did, as a board, feel like how we wanted to proceed was awarding $10,000 per cycle.
I also think when we talked about it, we said that somebody didn't get it in the first round, it didn't preclude them from coming back to the next one. So I would encourage people who perhaps don't get it this time to try again.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Rod.
Mm-hmm. Zach,
all right.
Oh, sorry. What is the amount left to allocate for this year?
Just give me 1 second. I believe it's right around 18,000, but I can get you the exact number. It is $18,174.22 is what's remaining in the account for the remainder of this fiscal year.
And Zach, the requested total amount is around $45,000. If we had the money, that would be the total requested. Did I understand that?
$55,000. It's actually $54,995 has been requested this cycle.
Okay, so if the committee decides to award partials to any number of these or all of these, some of the amount awarded may not be enough to even start a project. What do we do in that case?
So Jim, that hasn't been clearly defined. I think, this is the first year that I believe the EDC program has been, very actively marketed. And so the way that staff have been treating this internally is, we're going to see how this first year goes. And then at the end of the fiscal year, I think it makes sense to revisit the program, its overview, its application, its goals, even some of the ways that we do our grant review process, and amend it based on the lessons that we've learned this year. So some of that might be, I think, Holly had mentioned earlier, trying to find a way to make the program more specific versus, as broad as it is today. I think once we've had a full fiscal year of applications, staff can come back to the board with some recommendations on how we might tweak the program to make it more specific. I would recommend, Jim, that, we ask the applicants that are still here if, let's say, we took 10,000 and divided it by 10 and, offered $1,000 to each applicant, would that be enough for them to get going on the project? I think something that's difficult with this program is that we have a mix of projects that are either that have already happened or are in motion already, and then some that haven't started yet. So that might help guide the committee in how to prioritize some of these applications.
Thank you.
I just had one thought in terms of, and I agree, all the applicants are very deserving and we have a limited amount of funds. What we ended up doing was, as you suggested, Zach, kind of dividing the amount that we had into appropriate amounts. And last time it was, I believe, around 2,000 that we gave out to each applicant. I kind of feel like 1,000's probably might not be enough to kind of be the support that we really would like to give, and 2,000 has some precedent. So I'd make a suggestion that we ask the people if $2,000 would be an amount, if the board thinks it's appropriate, and then we try to come up with five people this year. Or this round.
I think that I agree. 2,000 can have more impact than 1,000, certainly. Just note though that we picked the 2,000 because we had 5 applicants. So then we were able to award something to all of the applicants. So just something to consider as we move forward.
And I believe to add, in the last round of the applications, the EDC actually did award a single $1,000 grant to Sheer Transformation for a project to install window seating in their business. There is precedent for 1,000 as well.
I believed we halved everyone's request from last time, I think is what it came down to. I think pretty much, I think that's how we landed it. I think somewhere in that range.
I have a question. Has anyone who's still on the call that's applied for the grant, has anyone applied for grants from other organizations or other state grants? Anything where we could look at some kind of matching funding? I know the vacant storefronts grant was one.
I believe in their application, and Tracy, if you're still on, it'd be great for you to speak to this. Lux Realty expressed some interest in applying for the Mass Vacant Storefronts program. 22-28 West Main Street has been taken for over a year, so it is an eligible property. It is on the town of Westborough's roster with the EACC, Economic Assistance Coordinating Council. So it's already a property on our list. It technically is a valid application. I think the questions that would be before the board would be, to get the full match for the Mass Vacant Storefronts program. It would be a $10,000 award, which would, significantly reduce the amount of funding that the board could provide to other businesses at this time. The board could also support Lux Realty Group's application for the Mass Vacant Storefronts program at a smaller amount, but the town is limited to 2 Mass Vacant Storefront projects per year, so that would probably, or most likely, preclude the town from taking the most advantage out of that program.
Okay. Thanks, Zach.
Other than that, I'm not aware of any applicants that have demonstrated matching funds or an interest in applying for any. I would invite a board member to, ask the applicants if any of them have such matching funds.
And my other thought is in the world where, we're in the midst of climbing out of this pandemic and everyone's trying to survive, I think, a lot of times you hear, I don't want to say you want to put money in the hands of businesses, but I think in some ways it's always a smart idea to let's get the businesses in Westborough moving forward, however that goes. And I would think that I would almost support going to, holding $10,000 back for a group that we don't know who's going to come next quarter. And would you say it's fair if next quarter 2 people show up and they get $5,000 each, and as opposed to the 10 companies that came here today with looking for their grant, is that the right way to go about things, or have extra money left over or those kind of things. So I would think, it might be wise of us to, expend the money now and move forward, because I think $1,000 isn't enough. But if we did $1,800 per recipient, because they all requested $5,000, it would expend our money for the year, but it would give us a chance to shut this down and then review it before we come into the next, instead of having an open session, use that time maybe to review the process of what we want next year's grant to look like, what kind of parameters we're looking to hit, what kind of companies do we want, and really nail it down. So next year when someone comes to us, we know where we want to spend that money and how we want to give it out to the town. I don't know what everyone thinks of that.
All right, so we have a couple of holistic ways to view this, and maybe those are the first decisions before we get into the individual business discussions. One is to pick 5 businesses to award $2,000 from this list of 10. And the other one is to award each of the 10 recipients $1,800 and shut down the program for the year, and then make decisions about our rubric for next year. Does anybody want to make a motion for those proposals that we can vote on before we get into the voting?
Oh, Mark has a question.
Yes, I agree with Mark in that during the pandemic, it's better to probably get the funds out earlier, as we're in the recovery mode, and I think the money can be better spent now. And I also think that we should prioritize businesses that revitalize the town, the downtown, because that's one of the goals that we have as well. So maybe we could kind of do what Mark was saying, is maybe front some of the money now where it does the most good when it helps people recover, and maybe prioritize the town. So maybe give people, I can do the math, but give people that are revitalizing the downtown twice what the others do. So instead of 1,800 each, for example, maybe it's 2,000 and 1,000 or something. However it works out. I don't know. What does everyone think about that? Because we should prioritize what's in the best interest of the town. It's always easy to just divide it by the number of applicants, but it might not accomplish what the EDC and the town and the master plan wants to accomplish.
I think those are all good points. It brings us to the discussion we were just having of what we really need to do as a board that we haven't quite nailed down yet is what is that rubric to make the decision about what's best for the town, and so what should EDC throw their support behind. And revitalizing downtown is definitely one of the big goals, but it wasn't the only one that was proposed. So I just want to raise that, and perhaps we do exactly as you're suggesting once we nail down that rubric and begin to use it next year. We just haven't quite gotten there yet. That's my only comment about that.
I believe Christy also had a comment, and after that, I'd like to just chime in with my view on the matter as well.
Thanks. I'm not in favor of expending all the money now. I think that we had the same conversation in the last meeting where we were awarding grants, and we didn't know about all these fantastic applications that would come in at the time. And so we held the money back, and now we're able to help some or all of these businesses, depending on which way we go. So I'm in favor of only doing that, the quarterly 10,000, and, you know, again, holding on to any application that doesn't receive funding for consideration at the next quarter. Also, I feel like we've advertised it in a certain way, and Zach, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, Zach mentioned that people might be waiting to apply for the next deadline, and I just think that, you know, we should be sort of honoring what we're telling people.
Okay.
In addition to that, and I see Sean and Jim are raising their hands as well, so I'd like to get to them right after me, but we have actually already received an application for the next cycle. And I think the history of the program, I believe that our last review period, we received 6 grant applications. You know, this one, we received 10. I would, you know, for Westborough, I'd love for that number to increase, but for the board's decision-making, I would not like to see that number increase the next quarter. But I think we have a sufficient, I think, history to show that the volume of applications it's not like we're going to receive 1 application a quarter anymore, or you know, 2 applications a quarter. I think there's a track record of people applying. And I do think that, you know, to sort of piggyback a little bit on what Christy's saying, we have marketed the program as a quarterly program. I think there are people that are making plans and expectations around that assumption. And I think it could reflect poorly on the EDC and the town if we, you know, sort of change our minds, you know, after advertising something a certain way. And I think, you know, one of the things that should be at the forefront of this board's attention is, you know, our reputation and the town's reputation for being easy to work with, for being business friendly. And, you know, part of that also is consistency. And, you know, when a communication comes out, you know, sticking to what was said. And so, you know, I personally, it would feel that, you know, at least it would make my job a lot difficult to tell a bunch of applicants who want to, you know, apply next quarter that, you know, unfortunately we spent all the funds this quarter.
We just need more money.
Yeah, those are great points, Zach. And it's so hard because we want to support all of these fantastic applications. I think, you know, our hearts and, you know, what we want to do gets in the way of, you know, of some of the decisions that we have made and how we may want to go forward. But I think that we can still, you know, we can still support these great applications, either a little more to a select number, or we can support all of them in some way. And I think it was Rod's excellent point before, if we didn't award an application in this round, that applicant can absolutely come forward and apply again in the next round. So, you know, so in that way we can take another look and assure that we would get a robust number of applications. So there were a couple of other points or questions that people had.
I believe Sean and Jim were raising their hands.
Sean? You're muted, Sean.
Yeah, people made my comments. Jim, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. I would agree that the program needs to have criteria that helps the committee decide between applications when you have so many worthy applications. I think a consideration might be something that was proposed by Mark when he said that maybe we ought to be focusing on the downtown. I think that's something that we should look at. However, I also want to say that there are unique applications outside of the downtown that are also worthy, and some of the businesses like a farm can't locate downtown. So they're stuck with their location, and they're not going to be in the downtown. When you have unique businesses, I think they need to be considered for how they diversify the economic base of the town as well. So my comment really, in summary, is that the committee really needs to look at criteria on which you base making these awards, and whether or not you consider using all the money in one round, in one quarter, all the money for one quarter, or holding it back for future businesses. I would hate to miss the opportunity for a unique business to come along and there not be any money. So I'd be in favor this time around of giving each one of the 10 applicants some money to keep them going. And in the future, before we go into another round, there'll be more criteria definitive to help this group make a decision.
Okay, thank you, Jim. So does somebody want to make a motion? Again, I think that the couple of motions that have been, or the couple of suggestions have been, one, to provide each of the recipients with some money, whether it's an even split of $1,000 per applicant, or if we want to try to shorten the list and give more money to each. Does anybody want to make a motion for either one of those suggestions?
Zach, would we be able to do that as a group since you sent out those individual things, or would we, is that something we can do?
Yes, you can make a motion on, this is really a motion on how to determine, like, I guess more of a procedural motion as opposed to an actual one. But once you guys decide which applicants you will fund, so whether it be 5 at 2,000 or 10 at 1,000, it would be helpful to read those motions for each individual business and the award with the value. So, like, you know, if someone raised a motion now to fund 10 applications at $1,000 each, that's great. And then, you know, if somebody could then read, you know, I motion to approve a grant for $1,000 to, you know, I'm looking at Lindsay Taylor because they're the first ones that appear on my screen, you know, for the fit out at 45 West Main Street. That would be great.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, since I suggested it earlier, that we have 5 recipients of $2,000, and that we ask the recipients whether $2,000 would be an appropriate amount for them to proceed with their project.
Does anybody want to second that motion?
I'll second it, Holly, Kenny.
And I can take roll call if you'd like. I have the list of EDC members. It's the least I can do with you taking over. So.
Either way, actually, I did ask Zach to provide the roster, and he very kindly did so.
Okay, I'll let you handle it then.
Should we ask the recipients first if $2,000 would be, or do you want to do that later?
And reminder that not all of the applicants, I believe, are still on the line. So that is, yeah, another thing to consider.
Okay.
Do you want me to ask the ones who are still here?
Sure.
Okay. So is Remembered Productions still on the line?
No.
Okay. Ferris Flowers.
Yes, I'm still on the line.
So would $2,000 be, would that help you in your endeavor?
Yes, it would. What I'd probably do is put it in a escrow account and then add to it to make sure that that was allocated to my cooler.
Okay, thank you. Kidstrong.
Any amount of money would be helpful, I guess. So yes, I mean, it's an interesting question, interesting conversation you guys are having about this. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'd be thankful for any help. This is one of the things that we're excited about being in Westborough, is the support that you guys are bringing to businesses.
Okay, thank you. Lindsay Taylor.
Yes, any amount will go towards our new salon chairs, our new salon stations, our new pedicure stations, so we can provide more services to the town.
Okay, thanks. Lux Realty Group.
Yes, any amount would definitely be helpful. As anybody that's seen the spaces that I'm renovating, there are a lot of renovations needed, so anything would be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Namizo Learning Labs.
Yes, we could make that work as well.
Okay, perfect. Nurse Farm.
Heather, yes. So thank you for the discussion, and we'd be able to proceed, I think, with both endeavors.
Okay, thank you. Revive Med Spa.
And I think you're still on mute.
Yes, actually, anything at this point we'd be grateful for, because also I forgot to mention our business could not qualify for any PP or anything with the SBA because we were not in business in 2019. So at this point, anything I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Simply Soap.
Yes, I would say the same. I would be so grateful to get any grant monies available. As you probably, many of you know, the cost of renovations has been really skyrocketing during COVID. So as an independent, just starting out business, I appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Thank you. And ZDs.
Stefano, are you still there? I do see his, it looks like phone on the line, but I'm not sure if he's at his phone at this time.
Okay, so it sounds like the recipients we heard from, all in addition to responding to the question directly about the $2,000 award, all responded, if I have it right, that any amount would be helpful. So perhaps that answers the question of either way that we would decide to go, to shorten the list to 5 recipients and award 2,000, or to try to support all of the applicants, which I know there's not a motion for that yet, but I just wanted to throw that out there. If I have that wrong, I don't know if any of the businesses want to correct me, because I don't want to speak for you. Okay, so we have a.
Sorry, Linda, just one more, Nurse Farm. I think so. Yes, $1,000 would still be helpful, although we may not be able to do both of the activities that we suggested. So it'd be trade-offs.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you so much for clarifying. All right, so we have a motion, and the motion is to select 5 of these recipients and award $2,000 to those 5 recipients. So with that, I am going to do a roll call and ask for votes in support of that motion. And I'll start with Holly Kenny. I think you're muted, Holly.
Yes, so we're voting right now on whether to split it that way.
Yes, that was the motion put forth, was to select 5 of these 10 recipients and award $2,000.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Scott Raley. Okay, he may not be here yet. Rod Schaffer.
Yes.
Mark.
I'm going to say no.
Okay. The other Mark. Burrow.
Didn't know which Mark.
No, both. You're back to back. Sorry.
Okay, for when?
Yes.
Okay. Sean Keogh.
I mean, I'm going to say no, only because I think we got about 10 minutes more discussion, and I don't know how long it's going to take to decide which 5 do and which 5 don't.
Okay. Fred.
Bernardo, no.
Jim Robbins.
Jim Robbins, no.
Christy Williams.
Williams, yes.
Linda Townsend, I'm going to vote no. So where did we land, Zach? So we have
Holly, yes. I believe we had Mark, or Holly, yes. Rod, yes. I should have taken count. I'm sorry. That was my bad.
One Mark said yes, one Mark said no.
Three yeses. Sean said no.
Yeah. Fred said no. Jim said no. Christy said yes. I said no.
I think it's 4 to 5 to 1. So 4 yes, 5 no, 1 abstained.
Okay. So, all right. So moving to the other suggested motion, which our suggestion is, do I have a motion to award $1,000 to each of these 10 recipients?
So moved.
Mark's up. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put that out to a vote now.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Sorry if we already covered this, but if the applicants each get $1,000, I forget if there's anything in our policy that precludes them from applying at the next round.
There is not. There is nothing in our policy that precludes applicants from reapplying either for, I think, the same project or for another project. So theoretically, the applicants could reapply at the next cycle or any thereafter.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That's an important question. All right, so now going through the roll call again, we have Todd Alexander's recused, Holly Kenny.
Well, I guess yes. Yeah.
Okay, Rod Chaffert.
Yes.
Mark Burrow.
Yes.
Mark Zepp.
Yes.
Sean Keogh.
Yes.
Fred Leonardo.
Yes.
Jim Robbins.
Yes.
Christy Williams.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So, all right. Well, congratulations to all those of you who submitted grants. We are awarding each of you $1,000 for this grant cycle. And as just pointed out by Christy and Zach, if you like, you could reapply in our next cycle as well.
And then in terms of logistics, I'll be in touch with all the applicants following this meeting with next steps regarding how to actually receive your award. There will be a contract between the town and your entity that I will prepare, which will pretty much just outline what you were awarded and what you're allowed to use the grant funds for, which will be the items that you had listed in your application that are approved uses of grant funds. I will be in touch with you with that information shortly. As Christy and Linda had suggested, if I know that Nurse Farm had mentioned that they might not be able to do both, projects that they're working on. There is nothing in the program overview and applications that would prevent you from reapplying, either to continue work on a project or to do a new one. So please get in touch with me if that is something that interests you in the future. And then Linda, if you could say that only to tie this specifically to the motions that I had prepared and sent out, so that we get the specific language in the contract that I had wrote in the motion. Could you just say something like we vote to approve the awards to the 10 applicants as written in the motions provided to the board?
Sure. So the board has approved the applications as written, $1,000 each. And is that okay?
That's great.
And I'll second that, Mark. We'll second that if we need a second.
And then, if we could just do the vote on that as well, that would be great.
Okay. All right. Running through the roster again. Todd is recused. Holly Kenny.
Yes.
Scott Raley is not here. Rod Chaffert.
Yes.
Mark Burrow.
Yes.
Mark Zepp.
Yes.
Sean Keogh,
Yes.
Fred Leonardo,
Leonardo, yes.
Jim Robbins,
Yes.
Christy Williams,
Yes.
and Linda Townsend, yes. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That was tough, only because all of these applications were so amazing and worthwhile. So thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Todd, our chair.
Thanks, Linda. Great job. Thank you, everyone. Just echoing what Linda said, as much as I couldn't vote on stuff, you guys did a great job, and it was not easy. A lot of great applicants, and we're excited to have all these businesses in town and new faces and old as far as businesses that we have, and let's continue to support them. So thank you all very much. Next on the agenda, we have the discussion of the Year in Review Award winners. Rod, I think you're going to be leading us in this discussion.
Thank you, Todd. I'll rely on Zach, as we all do, to get me through this, but we have, I believe, 6 categories. 4 for the board to vote on the winners, and 2 that have gone to the community vote. And are we prepared to announce the community vote today, Zach?
We are prepared. So I will do that right now, I guess. For the Civic Pride Award, so what the working group on the planning for the EDC annual awards celebration decided to do was create a poll for the community to decide who would win the Civic Pride Award and the Hall of Fame Award. We got a ton of responses, many more than I had anticipated. We received, I believe, a total of 770 responses to our poll, though not every respondent voted for both awards. The winner of the Civic Pride Award, and both of these votes were very close, is actually the Art and Frame Emporium, located at 18 Lyman Street. And the winner of the Hall of Fame Award, who I believe still is on the call, actually, is Nurse Farm at 70 Nurse Street. So we're very happy to recognize both of those Westborough businesses for their contributions to the community. And we will be in touch in the near future about the EDC Year in Review Award celebration, and some of the things that we'll be asking you to do to help us celebrate your business. So in the past, we have prepared videos in partnership with Westborough TV on each of the award winners. And so, we'll be in touch in the coming days or weeks regarding that. But congratulations to those 2 awardees, and now on to the board to determine
Congratulations.
Which of our nominees will win the other awards.
Just great. I just want to say quickly thank you to the EDC for putting out the contest. Really appreciate it, and we're excited to partake.
Congratulations.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Congrats.
All right. So Zach, rely on your guidance to help us through this, but the first category is new development project. I don't know if you can share your screen to show the potential recipients. And then what I was thinking was if we could get a motion or 2, we would vote on that motion. Is that the easiest way to do that? So the new development projects.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was just saying that the motion could read something like I, Rod Shapper, motion to recognize, Amazon, because it's the first one, for the new development project award at our upcoming Year in Review celebration. That would be great. And then, my screen is shared, so you should be able to see the businesses that have been nominated for these awards and a short description of why the working group felt like they were good candidates for each award.
So I'll take the first one, and then I'll ask other people to take the lead in terms of motions on the next one. But the first one's new development. The potential recipients were Amazon at 50 Otis Street, Regine Corporation at 254 Turnpike Road, and Monroe Tractor at 97 Turnpike Road. We made the differentiation between new development and new business really in terms of an area that was redeveloped as opposed to necessarily just a new large business. So I'll make a motion on the first one that we award it to Amazon at 50 Otis Street.
And I'll second that, I guess. Keep us moving.
Okay. Any discussions, any questions, any comments?
I would just say briefly that, you know, certainly Amazon is deserving this year. They will be deserving again next year for what they're going to do on Computer Drive. And then they'll be deserving the year after that, probably again for what they're doing on at Red's Farm. So, you know, one thing to consider is we could probably vote for them any one of next several years versus some of the other competitors. I would only throw that out there.
Yeah, my only other comment than that is I actually consider the robotics a little different than the other sites, and particularly with the trying to find a use for the AstraZeneca site. I thought, as I think Todd has expressed previously, it's that was really a big win for Westborough.
Exactly. I think this really represents what EDC is all about. We had AstraZeneca, which was, I think, our largest taxpayer that left, and we had a void, and to backfill it with something like Amazon Robotics, I think really tells a great story. So, any other comments?
Yes, also from a planning perspective, the robotics industry is going to put Westborough on the map. Plus what Amazon and Atlantic Management have done for the community doing the Otis Street corridor study will provide the infrastructure necessary to affect other parcels and other businesses on Otis Street. I think Amazon Robotics at 50 Otis is a well-deserving project, well-deserving company.
And Amazon is now going to overtake Caruth Capital as the largest taxpayer, I think.
Yes.
Aren't you happy about that, Mark, right?
Yeah.
As long as someone does, so it doesn't go up to 23.5%.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I know at 4400, but at 50 Otis Street, they didn't ask for a TIF either, right?
No,
I don't believe so.
And that's also a credit to Westborough's single tax rate, where you'll take a town like Marlborough that just hands them out to everyone, and pretty generous too. And it's kind of unfair to the existing tax base, whereas in Westborough, it's pretty fair to begin with.
If I may, the only comments I'd have on, yes, I agree that Amazon would be appropriate, but I would see them more as the large business. And I think the Racks in Monroe, and Racks particularly, they revitalized two buildings that were non-used for many years, especially Racks, more so than Monroe, to be honest with you. And they've actually introduced quite a bit of employment to that area. It's like talking 20 or 30 people. So I'd be more inclined to give the new development to Racks and look at Amazon for the new large business, especially because the other thought too is that Olympus, I believe we've already recognized before in previous awards. As a matter of fact, I know we have.
That's a good point.
So for Olympus, we did not recognize Olympus itself. We recognized Caruth Capital and Gutierrez jointly for the development project there at 800 West Park Drive. But agreed, Fred, that there are other really good candidates for the new development project award, revitalizing tired spaces that that have been and would have been very difficult, I think, to redevelop otherwise.
Is Racks in there?
Yes. So they've actually taken up the manufacturing portion and they're shipping. They're working on their office, which is the front end for sales and whatnot. So they're going to add additional space. Again, I'd emphasize that Racks was that Shakur building has basically been non-existent for the 4+ years I've been in town. So I thought it was a really good redevelopment of that particular location. And they were very limited because of their sewer capacity and what they could do in that building.
Right.
So for all those reasons, I think that they'd be a great recipient for the new development.
It was
Fred, will the rest of their project be completed this year? And the reason why I asked that is because then we could honor them potentially next year as a recipient for the entire building being completed.
That's a good point. Todd, yes, they plan on moving forward the office space in March. I would think it'd be done or substantially done by the end of this calendar year.
Yeah, I had the same reaction as Todd. I think they're very deserving, but I would like to see them finished before we recognize them.
That was a tough site too. It was virtually impossible to connect to SOAR. That's why.
All right, any other comments? We do have a motion on the floor.
Okay.
That's been seconded. No other comments? I will take a roll call. Alexander, I say yes. Kenny?
Yes.
Keo?
I'll say no.
No. Leonardo?
Leonardo, no.
Rayleigh?
I just joined, so I didn't get to hear the last part of it, so I'd like to
recuse yourself or abstain?
Yes.
All right, Robbins?
Because of the discussion about racks, I'm going to vote yes.
Okay, Schaffert?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes.
Barreau?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeff?
Yes.
Okay, I think we had all yeses with the exception of 2, so the motion has been approved.
So I'll look for a motion on the next one. So we will take Amazon off the list for new business, and the potential recipients would be Olympus, Monroe Tractor, or Battery Resources.
Any discussion first on this? If people want to talk about the projects first, it might be a good idea.
And also provide some color on each of these applicants and why they're here. Okay. If that's helpful.
Yeah, great.
Beginning with Olympus, I think this one probably goes without saying. As Fred had pointed out, Caruth and Gutierrez had won previously the Leader in Development Award for the actual construction project on 800 West Park Drive. Olympus is a pretty large medical devices company that has moved in to Westborough. They actually have the global headquarters of their therapeutic solutions division, and it's a leading site for their medical systems group there on 800 West Park Drive. I think it's a potentially good option. As Westborough starts looking towards more life science and med tech companies to recruit and to recognize. Monroe Tractor, which we've talked about a little bit, is actually a case dealer, really, which had expanded into the New England market about 4 years ago after acquiring Case New England. I think we had mentioned earlier, they made a ton of renovations to the building on 97 Turnpike Road, before being able to move in and open a retail and service center on that site. Monroe Tractor is a relatively large business. I think they're based out of New York. And they have a number of case dealerships across various states. They're also a certified women-owned business as well. And then Battery Resourcers, which is also a candidate for the Innovation Award, moved into Westborough this past fall. They started out of Worcester, and they were originally, I think they were a startup out of Worcester Polytechnic Institute's startup lab or something like that. And what they do is they pioneer battery recycling and battery manufacturing. So they expanded this past October, and they moved into a 17,000 square foot site in Westborough, where I believe now they're actually what they're actually now calling their headquarters. And they also have sites in, I think, Michigan and I want to say Georgia, more large manufacturing sites as well. The way we have defined the new large business category is, awarded to a new, not locally owned business or a business that has, footprint outside of Westborough as well. So I think all of these candidates qualify in that regard. The one comment that I will make is that, without speaking to them, I'm sure Battery Resourcers would be somewhat shocked to be considered a large business. I think they probably think of themselves much smaller, but based on the definition, this is where they fell.
I would just make a comment on the Battery Resources. the fire department, myself just met with them. They are, to our last conversation, they are not 100% functional. So they're still gearing up, but they haven't come to 100% production out at that site.
Okay.
I also think with Monroe Tractor, it's a nice addition to us that they are also a grant award nominee, a grant award, someone from the ED. They got a grant from us this year. And I think it's a nice tie-in that we were able to help a business that, you know, also is awarded and recognized in multiple ways.
Great, thanks, Mark. Any other comments? If not, would anyone, excuse me, like to make a motion?
Yeah, I would, I'd make a motion that we select Olympus as the award winner, having moved their global headquarters to Westborough in the past year.
And they have an option to expand too. Let's hope that happens.
Do I hear a second on that motion?
Yeah, Mark Zeff will second.
Just any discussion?
The only point that I will add is that the EDC did nominate Olympus earlier this year for the Mass Econ Economic Impact Awards. They were named a finalist for the Central Massachusetts region. And I believe that they are a strong candidate to receive recognition from Mass Econ for that award. So I just wanted to throw that out there, you know, in case the EDC wanted to consider past ways that they were recognizing businesses in its decision-making here.
But when does that decision get made, Zach, do you know?
I believe that we're expecting a decision in the next week or so.
Okay, any other comments? All right, then I will take a roll call. Alexander, I'm going to say no, only because if the motion is not passed, I'd like to make one for Monroe Tractor. So, Kenny?
I'm going to say no because I'm going to agree with your motion for Monroe Tractor. So no.
Keo?
Yes.
All right, Leonardo?
Leonardo, no.
Riley?
No, Riley, no.
Robbins? Jim? Jim Robbins?
I'm here. I'm sorry about that. I couldn't find the button. Robbins, no.
Okay. Shafford?
Yes.
Townsend?
No.
Moreau?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeff?
No.
Okay, so I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 no's.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 4 yeses. So my tabulation is correct. The motion does not pass. So with that being said, would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, Todd.
Another motion.
Leonardo, I would make a motion that we approve Monroe Tractor as the large business for Westborough.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Holly Kenny.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, let's take a roll call then. Alexander, yes. Kenny?
Yes. Sorry.
Keo?
Yes.
Leonardo?
Leonardo, yes.
Rayleigh?
Riley, yes.
Robbins?
Yes.
Stafford?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes.
Moreau?
No.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeff?
Yes.
Okay, so we had 10-1, motion passes. Thank you all. Next is the new small business. Zach, do you want to go run through these, please?
Certainly. So for new small business, we have six nominees from the working group. Hollywood Salvage is a business on Turnpike Road next to Perkin Parcel. They are a business that recycles equipment from old movie sets and TV sets and then sells them at their brick and mortar location in Westborough. Westborough Nutrition is a like a nutritional, healthy eating place on 45 East Main Street, right next to the new Lindsay Taylor location. They provide like protein shakes, teas, coffees, healthy snacks with the goal of trying to encourage its customers in the community to eat healthy. Leduc Art and Antiques, who we know very well because Mark Zepp sits on our board, is an antique shop and art gallery that recently moved into the downtown area. One of the unique things about Leduc Art and Antiques is that they do art gallery and exhibitions from time to time, and so they have a recurring, like I guess, schedule of folks who come and showcase their works in Leduc Art and Antiques. Time and All is one of the businesses here that opened because we considered 2 years for this award ceremony because we were not able to do an award ceremony in 2021 to recognize the businesses from 2020. I believe Time and All opened in the end of 2020, and they backfilled the Christina's Cafe location. They bring Thai food and drink to downtown, and so I think it goes very well with the EDC's goal of downtown revitalization and bringing more active uses to our downtown area. Janet's Salon is a salon that recently moved into Bay State Commons. The owner of Janet's Salon had been serving the community for over 8 years and then finally opened a brick and mortar location here in Westborough to do things like, hairstyling, coloring, waxing, and other, salon services. And then our last nominee is After Designs, which is a collective inspired by the Crompton Collective in Worcester. And what they do is they sell artisan jewelry, accessories, wall decor from either the owner or from other local artists that they have in their store. So that's, I guess, an overview of the nominees. And I'll leave it to the board for discussion.
Okay, anyone have any thoughts on any of the candidates here?
I think that the Time and All actually brings diversity and actually bring good things to the town. So I would like to nominate them.
A second.
A second. All right. Any discussion?
I think any restaurant that opens during a pandemic deserves a courageous award.
I mean, these are all great new businesses, and we're obviously excited to have all of them in town here. And I do think that it does take a certain person who's willing to open a restaurant during a pandemic, and obviously they seem to be successful, and we hope that this will help to drive additional traffic to the downtown area. Anyone else want to have a comment? If not, we will take a vote. All right.
The only thing that I'll add is that I would ask that Mark, unfortunately, recuses himself.
That was my plan. I was going to abstain. So
great. Thanks. Just wanted to...
Zach. All right. Alexander, I'll say yes. Kenny?
No.
Theo?
Yes.
Leonardo?
Leonardo, yes.
Rayleigh?
Rayleigh, yes.
Robbins?
Yes.
Shafford?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes.
Thoreau?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Okay, so 9-1. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next, Zach.
Great. So next we have the Innovation Award, and we have 4 nominees from the working group here. Battery Resources, again, I mentioned earlier, they're a lithium-ion battery recycling and manufacturing company. they are pioneering, lithium-ion battery recycling. And excuse me if it sounds like I don't know a ton about the technical details here, because I don't know all of the details about how battery recycling works. According to the Worcester Business Journal, the location that they have in Westborough, or are in the process of setting up in Westborough, will process black mass to cathode precursor material, and then purify the recovered graphite to battery grade, which then I believe would then be shipped to one of their sites, either in Michigan or in Georgia, I believe, to get recycled into a new battery. I've seen, a number of articles, about battery resources and, how innovative their process is. And again, I believe they originated as a startup out of Worcester WPI. Our next business is Inanio 24, which is located at 2400 Computer Drive. Todd actually might be able to say a little bit more about Inanio, because he has actually met with their, I believe, president or CEO. But they are a technology healthcare provider that tries to provide, basically all healthcare services over the continuum of care. So they integrate their technology with their providers to, provide healthcare services to the consumer, like kind of wherever that consumer wants it. Our next nominee is Mayak Orthopedics in 69 Milk Street. This is a business that I didn't know, a ton about before we started looking at nominees, but they actually develop bioengineered surgical implants for connective tissue repair. And so the working group thought that was really exciting that we have a business like this, operating in the mill building, doing really pioneering work, right here in downtown Westborough. Our next nominee is Copen Corporation, which is located at 125 North Drive. They are a developer and provider of components and wearable headset products, and I think some of the chips and displays associated with that. They have a number of patents. I believe I had seen that they have 200 global patents or patents pending in the areas of displays, integrative optics, low power ASICs. And they were recently featured in the Worcester Business Journal because their components are being used in a particular type of VR glasses. I believe too, I had read somewhere that some of their equipment is actually in F-35 fighter jets to help do some of the AR, I guess displays that are, in those fighter jets.
What are VR glasses?
Virtual reality glasses.
Oh, virtual reality. Duh. Thank you. And just for clarifications, battery resources is not fully occupied. It's not fully developed yet. Is that correct?
I think Fred would be the best to answer that.
Sure, Jim. So yeah, based on again, what I said previously, according to their operations, and Fire and myself met with them last week, they are not 100% functional yet. They're still working through their processing.
Okay.
They actually are going to do a little bit of an expansion with some of their chemical storage and whatnot. So I think they'd be an outstanding reward recipient, but I would suggest that we might want to revisit them next year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussions? Any questions? I have seen Inanio, as Zach mentioned. It's pretty impressive what they're doing there. I do think they are in the startup phases. I don't know if their company has really taken off yet, but it is very innovative. It's a pretty impressive process. But Zach did a good job covering it as far as what they do.
I actually went on the website for Copen last night, and I was amazed that we had this here in Westborough, and I'd never even heard of it. So I think it's a global business. It's really pretty impressive, and it's actually in the area of town that people I don't even really think of that much. But like I said, I think these are all strong candidates. But I was impressed by Copen.
They've been here for 15 years at least.
Yeah.
Anyone want to make a motion, Rod?
All right, so I'll motion that we award this innovation award to Copen based on their 15-year history in Westborough doing innovative things.
We hear a second?
I'll second it. Mark, Seth.
Mark, any discussion, comments? If none, then I will take a roll call. Alexander, yes. Penny?
Yes.
Theo?
Yes.
Leonardo?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Rayleigh, yes.
Robbins?
Yes.
Schaffert?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes.
Moreau?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeph?
Yes. Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. I think that wraps it up for the year in review, if I'm not mistaken. And we're a little bit behind time here, but not by much. So thanks everybody for being very productive this morning. Next on the agenda is the Planning Department report. Jim?
Thank you. We have a couple zoning articles coming up. Before I get to them, I just wanted everyone to know that we do also have a few things on our agenda for new projects. And I don't know how closely people follow our agenda, but I think I reported at our last meeting, we approved the expansion of the Verizon site on Freiburg Parkway. And we have a new proposal for a landscape use at 9 Otis Street. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Our zoning articles for the warrant, in particular concern, I think, for this group is the off-premises signs that would allow digital billboards on Route 495 and the Mass Pike. There are criteria in the proposed bylaw that would require a minimum of 1,000 feet separation between signs. The signs would have to face the interstate highways. They would not face in towards local streets. There's also a requirement that they be no closer than 500 feet from a residential use, not a residential district, but a residential use, because we have residential uses in industrial districts. We also want to make sure that where the sign would be placed would not affect a residential use in a neighboring community like Southborough along 495 or the Mass Pike in Hopkinton. The next article, and I'd be happy to field questions of these. By the way, the public hearing for this article, off-premises signs, at the planning board is February 8th. That's a week from tonight, where there'll be a full presentation on what the media means, what digital billboards means, and where the locations could possibly be. Fred and myself did a study of how many signs could be located based on the criteria that we set, 1,000 feet separation between the signs and 500-foot setback from any residential use. That will be shown at the public hearing on the 8th. The next article is a new industrial overlay district, similar to what we have on the east side of town, the Industrial D. However, slightly different. We're calling this the Industrial E overlay. It would be along Otis Street, Secaucus Drive, one property on Smithville Parkway, and the 4 properties up on Boston Hill on Valenti Drive. The difference between this district and the Industrial D district is that instead of allowing a density bonus up to 6 stories, the bonus would be allowed up to 5 stories. And instead of allowing 60% coverage, 50% coverage would be allowed. Currently, only 40% coverage is allowed, with 60% open space required. The open space requirement would be reduced to 50%. So again, that would be along Otis Street, Secaucus Drive, one property, that's 10 Smithville Parkway, and all of the properties on Boston Hill and Valenti Drive. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them now.
I just have one question on Valenti Drive. Is that currently zoned the same as the rest of those areas?
Yes. Currently, they're all general industrial. That's Industrial B.
Todd, if I may.
Go ahead, Fred.
So I have a motion, but I also have a comment on the billboard signs, the town, and that's actually what funds our awards. So if we were to approve that, or the town were to approve that, I should say, that would add to the possible funds that the EDC could use towards awards. And I would actually make a motion that the EDC committee send a letter of support for both the IE and the billboard signs. That would be sent to the planning board.
Do I hear a second? Chris, do you have a comment?
I just wanted to clarify, just for everybody, that that there would be if this were to pass and there were to be additional billboards, there would be an additional town meeting vote required to increase the amount for the grant program. So Fred's right that it would create a source, but there would just be an additional town meeting vote to actually increase that amount, just so everyone's aware.
All right, thank you for clarifying.
A little bit more information, Todd, just so that people know. We did a survey on the town website, and we received over 200 replies, 240 replies actually, mostly in favor of digital billboards along 495 and the Mass Pike. When the question was asked, there were 10 questions in the survey. When the question was asked, would you favor those locations if there was revenue to the town, the vote went from 70% in favor and 30% opposed. Any opposition is based upon, I think, aesthetics and the location of digital billboards. It was made clear that these would not apply to Route 9. It is a special permit process. The special permit would be granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Planning Board would need to make a recommendation. Then a development agreement would be reached between the selectmen and the digital billboard operator, which would probably be Clear Channel, who is the same operator that we use on Route 9.
Thank you, Jim. Looks like Rod, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I would just, if we're going to make a motion, I'd like to separate the two issues or two articles.
Okay. Mark, you have your hand up?
Yes, I would like to add that part of what's proposed is a prohibition on advertising marijuana. And it's a big part of the revenue. And it's, you know, I understand that some people would be opposed to it, but it is legal in Massachusetts. Current boards advertise marijuana along 495 and Route 9, and I think 90, and I know in 84 in Connecticut, and that the Attorney General is likely to find it unconstitutional because, you know, I think it's a First Amendment issue as well. So you're kind of restricting how much income that the billboard people would make and that the town would get and the likelihood of success.
If I may just respond to that quickly.
Yeah,
sure, Fred.
So one, we actually have some prohibition to advertising in existing facilities. If they were to come to Westborough, it's already in our bylaw. Two, discussions with the planning board, there seemed to be some pushback to whether those things weren't prohibited. Town council has weighed in on that, and yes, he suggested that it may be prohibitive to do that, but we've also mimicked the bylaw after another town that has had it in their bylaw for some time that did do that prohibition against that type of advertising. So those are the reasons why it was kind of brought forth in that manner.
Just to expand on what Fred said, so the Route 9 signs are prohibited from advertising medical marijuana or recreational marijuana. Our local zoning bylaw says that marijuana uses can only be advertised on the site where the primary dispensary is located. We do have a district where we allow those uses, but we have no marijuana uses of any kind in Westborough. So the signs would be considered off-premises signs, so they would not be allowed to advertise marijuana uses. And as Fred pointed out, we have digital billboards on Route 9 already, and the prohibition has been in place actually since prior to those digital signs, and we've had no one challenge that.
Thank you, Jim. So any other comments? Discussion? I know, Fred, you had made a motion to approve both of the warrants. Could you amend that? Do you mind amending that motion to, so we could do one at a time, I guess? That was one of the questions that was raised by one of the EDC members.
Sure. So I'd amend my motion to say that I'd like to see a letter of improvement for both separately, for one for the billboards and one for the IE overlay.
A letter of endorsement, right, Fred?
Yeah, it's a letter of endorsement from EDC.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right.
Yeah.
Alexander, let's say yes. Kenny?
Yes.
We voted on which one? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're voting on, let's vote. That's a good point. Well, let's vote on support for the off-premise sign first. So Alexander, yes. Kenny?
Yes.
Keo?
I'm going to abstain for now, as we'll be voting at the select board in a future meeting.
Understood. Thank you. Leonardo?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Robbins? I assume you're abstaining as well? Oh, yes?
No, yes.
Okay. Shafford?
No, and I just have a quick question. Are we, is it appropriate for us to be voting on this, considering we're the ones that would have the gain from it if we were to get the money?
Well, we're not guaranteed the gain, as Christy pointed out. That would have to be voted on at town meeting. So there's no financial gain for us, the way I see it, unless somebody else interprets it differently.
I think it's appropriate for the EDC. I think it's more than just, your support is more than, financials, about the finances. I think it's also just about, business in the town and how it's advertised.
Okay. So, Rod?
No.
Oh, all right. Townsend?
Yes.
Burrow?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeph?
I'll vote yes. Sorry.
Okay, so it looks like we had one abstain, 2 no's, and the rest were yeses. So the motion to submit a letter of endorsement has been approved for off-premises signs. So as it relates to the industrial E overlay district and a letter to support that warrant, I'll start off again. Alexander, yes. Kenny?
Yes.
Keo?
Abstain.
Okay. Leonardo?
Leonardo, yes.
Rayleigh?
Rayleigh, yes.
Robbins?
Yes.
Shafford?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes.
Burrow?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeph?
Yes.
With one person abstaining, the motion passes. Thank you all very much, and thank you, Fred and Jim, for your work on those warrants, with the committees that you have.
Thank you.
Next is the Community Development Department report from Zach.
Yep, I'll try and be really quick so that we can get out of here in a timely manner. So new businesses, we have Torito Mexican Restaurant opened at 291 Turnpike Road this week. USERA Event Center has opened at 45 Oak Street. According to RK Speedway's leasing brochure, we expect Ashley Home Store to occupy 20,000 square feet at RK Speedway. 187 Turnpike Road, formerly the Green Thumb property, has been acquired by McGovern Automotive. 180 to 182 Turnpike Road is being acquired by another automotive dealer. Regarding EDC's ongoing programs, we have been awarded $25,000 from the Regional Economic Development Organization grant program to fund the online business directory project from the LRP. We are currently seeking RFQs from vendors to complete this work. Regarding upcoming events, there is a Mass Econ showcase of the Ready Mass 100 properties on February 18th at 10:30 a.m. The Quarter 9 495 Chamber of Commerce is having a panel discussion on employee retention on February 16th at 10 a.m. The Quarter 9 495 Chamber of Commerce is also having a virtual speed ring event with 4 other chambers on February 18th at 8:30 a.m. And I have received word that the Quarter 9 495 Chamber will be bringing back its Business Expo this year. I believe it's being planned for April or May. And so I am very excited and expect the EDC to have a presence at that event like we have in years past.
Todd, if I may, very quickly, I'd just like to congratulate, I'd just like to congratulate Zach on his work for getting the redo grant, which will support the local rapid recovery program.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
Well done,
Thank you, Zach.
Across the board and everything.
Let's see. Just anything else on that? If not, we're on to other business.
Yes, but I will just say one thing. In the future for EDC grant review, I'm setting up a Dropbox so that we can drop all the application materials and the agendas in one place, and we can prevent further, just having 10 emails floating around. So I'll let you guys know when that's
great idea.
Can I just?
And Zach, I know you've put together a summary on some of the criteria that we can use that was recommended, but we obviously do need to spend some time and allocate some time at some of our upcoming meetings to get that done. I don't think it's appropriate to change the criteria until this fiscal year is completed, so we can have some consistency at least with the applicants, and maybe starting the next fiscal year, we can implement those. But I think it's something we need to get on the agenda and get started on pretty quickly. Obviously, we also have the awards, the year-end awards that we have a subcommittee that's been working on, and Zach's been putting in a lot of time and effort into that, and we're going to need everybody's help in the next couple of months, excuse me, as it relates to getting the videos done with Westborough TV and logistics and all that sort of stuff. So we'll likely be reaching out to members of the board to see if we could get some help as it relates to that. I did want to thank Zach for completing the EDC annual report. You did a great job with it. And not just completing the report, but everything that you've done in the past year. I know you're coming up on your year anniversary pretty soon, and we really appreciate all the time and effort and hard work you've been putting into not only supporting the EDC, but what you've been doing for the town. And then lastly, I did want to ask either Christy or Sean about obviously the news that has changed in the last month as it relates to the Regal Cinemas, and it looks like the town now has possession of that. So maybe you could give us an update on that.
Sure. So on January 6th, the town was awarded ownership. So the foreclosure went through. The way that works is that the board will consider the disposition of that property either through, their options are to either move forward with an RFP process, which would require a vote of town meeting, or the typical way of disposing of a foreclosure property is through a public auction, which could happen without town meeting. And so the board will consider all of those options, as in executive session, and keeping the public informed as they move forward. So
thank you. That's great news. Yeah. Like to see that filled up again in some fashion.
Right. Yes.
So with the public auction, will it be, with the auction, will it be will we discuss it? Is that how everybody will know about it, or how will that work?
So the board will consider which or how they want to dispose of the property. And then, they would certainly let the public know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
But there's a 1-year right of redemption, right?
Correct. So once on any foreclosure property, there's a 1-year redemption period, where someone could come back. Obviously in this situation, it's unique where we don't know who the owners are of the property, or who the previous owners are. We're the Townsea owners now, but yep.
Any other business? Anything anyone needs to discuss or would like to discuss?
Just as an update, last night the Board of Health met. They extended that mask mandate for 1 week, and they'll meet again, I believe it's on Tuesday, February 8th, to consider it again.
Great, thank you. All right, if nothing further, do I hear a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close?
Second?
Second.
Great. Got to take a roll call on that. Alexander, I say yes. Kenny?
Yes.
Theo?
Yes.
Bernardo?
Yes.
Rayleigh?
Yes.
Robbins?
Yes.
Shafford?
Yes.
Townsend?
Yes.
Moreau?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Zeff.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all very much. And again, I appreciate everybody allocating extra time to this meeting. We had a lot to accomplish here. I think we did get it all done, and I appreciate all of you handling the grants, and especially Linda spearheading that and taking charge on that. So thank you all. Have a great month, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.